Ladies and gentlemen, this video today is one I am hyped about, okay? We're going to go through 100 reasons, yeah, not 50, 100, why Brock Lesnar is awesome. And I'm not alone with this, okay? Considering the nature of the video, I had to come with a tag team partner there, John. So today, I've got Bonafide Heat. Kevin, this is going to be a blast, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. My dog is hyped. My dog loves Brock Lesnar. I love Brock Lesnar. You love Brock Lesnar. Everybody loves Brock Lesnar. Am I right?
Oh god, yeah. God, yeah. This one, it's near enough unanimous. It's been a long time coming, and ever since we did the 100 on Cena, I knew the next 100 would be Brock. So we're here today, and yeah, maybe down the line, 100 on The Rock. So you never know. But yeah, Kevin, do you want to start us off with reason one?
Yeah, might as well. He's a legitimate mainstream superstar. Legitimate. Alright, he's an A-list celebrity, bro. That is Brock Lesnar. That's reason number one, first and foremost. Everybody knows who Brock Lesnar is. Not only is he a WWE superstar, he was a college athlete. He was a phenomenon in college sports. And then he just became the biggest UFC box office attraction prior to Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. Like, before those two guys, Brock Lesnar was it. He was the man in UFC. Everybody knows who the guy is. What more do I need to say?
Oh, absolutely. Like, when you look up legitimate in the dictionary, a picture of Brock Lesnar should come up. Like, in every sense of the term, Brock Lesnar is legitimate. And for it to be a word that I mention so much on this channel, legitimate, Brock Lesnar is that word to a T. So, yeah, legitimate, reason one. Then, reason two, you alluded to it there. This is an Elite Heat go-to term. Number two, Brock Lesnar is a mainstream star. Kevin, when I bring up Brock Lesnar to 49 of my friends that I know in real life, most of them know who Brock is. Most think he's really cool. Okay, Kevin, that is a true mainstream star, isn't it?
If I stood outside of a local Walmart for 25 minutes and I asked 50 patrons that were shopping in the produce aisle who Brock Lesnar is, or I showed them a picture of Brock Lesnar, guaranteed 85% of those. No, I'd not even say. I would say 95% of those people. 95 or more percent of those people would know who Brock Lesnar is. He's the definition of a mainstream star.
And Kevin, as we'll allude to in later reasons with this, when we talk about mainstream, really, one of the main words we do with that is really known, cool, like he's over with a lot of people. That's what we kind of mean in the sense of mainstream star. Brock Lesnar, he quite literally epitomizes that term, mainstream star. So, Kevin, that's reason two. Then, reason three, Brock is a fantastic ambassador for WWE and professional wrestling, okay? Kevin, just walk us through this one, would you?
Yeah, I mean, you can catch Brock Lesnar anywhere. You can catch him on Jimmy Kimmel, you can catch him on any late night talk show, ESPN, doing interviews, and he's always going to represent pro wrestling in the proper way. He's not going to come out and be like, UFC is better, or I love football more. Like, he's always respectful about his time in WWE, his current time, whether it was in the past or present. And anytime Brock Lesnar's around, he brings eyeballs, he gets people talking, and yeah, he's the perfect guy to have as the face of a company.
Absolutely. Like when he's at these random events, like he's on a red carpet and he'll have some just, interviewer looking for some attention and publicity ask him, "Oh, is WWE fake? Oh, well, you can go back to that fake WWE. Oh, well, UFC's clearly better." Brock puts the line in the sand every time and goes, "Stop making fun of wrestling, okay? It's a legit thing." Like, Brock, he stands up for wrestling, and you physically look at him and think, "I'm not going to question that, or he'll punch my teeth down my throat." So, yeah, with that being said, Kevin, that's three. Then reason four. This is one of the bigger ones. Like, of all 100 reasons, this one's up there, okay? It's always important when he shows up. It's just, Kevin, it can't be said enough.
Yeah, I mean, we're now, give or take, 16, 17 years removed from his time as a full-time wrestler. And he's been in a part-time capacity since 2012. So it's been 9 years now that Brock Lesnar's been back in the WWE bubble. That's just crazy to imagine. It's been 9 years since he returned and attacked Cena the night after WrestleMania 28. And when he showed up that night, it was incredible. He was at the height of his UFC run. And now, even still in 2021, when he showed up to close SummerSlam this year, and he confronted Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, and he closed the show, and it was it was a big deal. It was like, wow, Brock Lesnar's back. It popped the rating on YouTube, as they say. Just Brock Lesnar being there gets everybody talking. It brings eyeballs to the product that weren't there before, and it makes wrestling feel legitimate when he's around.
Oh, hell yeah. And the thing with wrestling, considering how much overexposure of content, overexposure of the wrestlers themselves, hardly anyone feels that important when they're on screen. Because you can go on social media and they've tweeted 6 times during the day, they've cried at someone with 9 followers over an opinion they have, they've been in interviews, they're literally they're on Raw, they're on SmackDown, there's clips of them on Main Event, there's a network exclusive, like, there's so much overexposure, but yet Brock, he doesn't put himself into the media, as we'll talk about later. He doesn't do these excessive interviews. He doesn't sit all day on Twitter complaining at people with 6 followers over little opinions, okay? So when Brock shows up once every month or once every 3 months, Kevin, it feels like a legitimate mainstream big time deal, pal. Okay, get around it.
Absolutely, and I have to say this too. People complain about him being like Universal Champion and only showing up on Raw like maybe 2-3 times a year, but that just makes it that much more important when the champion does show up. It doesn't dilute or oversaturate the championship. So that's like the argument that people have that are for Brock Lesnar's part-time status as champion.
Yeah, like, I mean, really the thing with that, like, yeah, I mean, it does make the Universal title, in a sense, feel more like a, like, say, UFC heavyweight title, for instance, because it might be defended 3 times a year. Granted, the negatives of that is we have Raw episodes for 3 months main evented by Miz Bear versus Dean Ambrose, but on the contrary, the Universal title feels like a big deal. So, Kevin, that's reason 4. Reason 5, a bit of a follow-up to reason 4, but his matches, they always have that big fight feel, pal. That big fight feel. Walk us through this one.
The only match that didn't have a big fight feel is when he fought Braun Strowman, but I digress. Anybody that gets in the ring with Brock Lesnar, whether it's Ricochet, AJ Styles, it doesn't matter. You name it. It doesn't matter who it is. Kurt Angle, you put a behemoth in there like The Undertaker in the ring with him. It's going to be a big fight feel. When you put him in there with larger-than-life characters like Triple H, Undertaker, Cena, that feels like true box office. That feels like a marquee matchup, like a Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao style matchup. And then he doesn't lose that luster when you put him in there with guys like AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, who are still stars, but they're on a lesser scale than the Cenas and Triple H's. It really doesn't matter who you put him in the ring, but aside from Braun Strowman, it's a Brock match. People are going to tune in, and it's going to be must-see.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like those matches, you would allude to it there. Now, who you put him against when the opponent's in the ring, and then Brock Lesnar's theme music hits, which we'll talk about the theme momentarily, but like, you hear Lesnar's music hit, he comes down as if like this is like a legitimate fight. As back to reason 1, legitimacy. Lesnar comes down there, he's not messing around, he doesn't like he's just happy to be there for another day at the office to get his paycheck and then go on Twitter and complain an hour later. Brock's legitimately there to beat someone up. And he has that final boss feel to him when he has his matches. Like, even if he has, say, 2 to 4 matches a year, all those matches, you hallmark and go, I want to see the Brock match. Okay, we can see Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens 17 times a year, but Brock Lesnar, he wrestles twice a year. I care to see that. So, yeah, that's reason 5. Then, Kevin, reason 6. This one, once in a lifetime athlete. With this one, Brock Lesnar in 2002 to 4. Well, just generally Brock Lesnar, but really 02 to 04 especially I want to highlight. Like, that young Brock Lesnar is one of the most outstanding athletes I think the world's ever seen. Personally, that's just my opinion.
As JBL put it, he's the greatest combat sports athlete of all time, Michael. He is. You put him in there, it doesn't matter what sport. NCAA Division I wrestling heavyweight champion, WWE champion, UFC heavyweight champion. In Japan, I think he was in New Japan.
Bro, he was in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings, bro. There's nothing he can't do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he's never played football at a collegiate level. He might have played in high school, but he didn't play at a collegiate level. He didn't even play semi-pro. He didn't play arena football. He went from fake fighting every day for 2 years to almost making a professional football team. That's tough to do as a defensive lineman, no less. It's not like he came in and was like playing quarterback. Like, he was in the trenches on the defensive lineman. He's getting, like, I'm sure people are making fun of him, calling him a fake athlete, a fake wrestler. he's out there and he was proving people wrong, and he almost made the team. It would have been incredible if he did make it.
Kevin,
dude's an incredible athlete.
Kevin, we got plenty to say about the football stuff later. There's a lot of stuff with that most people don't really know about, but like actually talk about it, it's incredible. So yeah, reason 6, once in a lifetime athlete, just in every sense of the term. Then reason 7, always cool. Okay, Brock, whether it's as an NCAA wrestling champion, whether it's as the next big thing, whether it's as the WWE champion in 03, whether it's when he's trying to make it in football, whether it's his UFC heavyweight champion days, whether it's him in WWE as a part-time guy with the big fights, he's always cool. I can show my friends something Brock's done, and I don't feel any sense of embarrassment, any sense of, oh god, I'm showing them WWE, I hope they don't cringe at me. Like, there's no sense of that. Like, I showed yesterday a bunch of my friends the match graphic of Reigns versus Lesnar at Crown Jewel, because that's coming up in about 5 weeks. And then they're like, oh damn, when's that? That seems sick, oh my god. Like, that's the kind of reaction you get from Brock Lesnar. Like, Kevin, that is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a mainstream attraction, pal. We've established this, bro. He's, like you said, he's cool. And when he told Heath Slater, I don't give a shit about your kids on Raw, that was like one of the coolest moments you'll ever see in a wrestling ring. Or even when he's out there with the mariachi band. We're going to talk about that, I'm sure. But just everything that Brock does is cool. He's all hits, no misses, as the kids say.
Oh, that's objective. So we move on to reason 8. Kevin, we had a discussion about this about a month ago during the heart of SummerSlam season, but just to put this as a reason, Mr. SummerSlam, okay? Like, this one can be disputed a little bit. Some could say Bret Hart, totally makes sense, fair. But just generally speaking, Brock Lesnar's SummerSlam resume is absolutely friggin' unbelievable. I mean, you look at what this guy's done, real quick in a nutshell, beats The Rock at the best SummerSlam ever in the main event, WWE title match versus Kurt Angle, main event's the 25th annual SummerSlam against Triple H in the Perfect Storm, has one of the best SummerSlam matches ever versus CM Punk the next year, destroys Cena and wins the world title the next year, beats The Undertaker, I don't think he beat him, but he had the match with The Undertaker at 15, 16 he hit shoot elbows on Randy Orton, 17 he was in the heavyweight car crash, 18 he put over the big dog, and then we'll forget about 2019. So, Kevin, unbelievable.
That was what, a stretch of 5 straight SummerSlam main events right there from 2014 to 18. Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive. Yeah, I mean, he always delivered aside from 2019. Always delivered at SummerSlam. And 2019 was not his fault. I'm not gonna put any of the blame on Brock Lesnar. He put over Seth Rollins, the best of his abilities, but we've established Seth Rollins was not a true top guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Brock Lesnar misses SummerSlam. It fits. He's proved it time in and time out. His resume, just the matches that he's had, the main events, the big moments. The WWE almost ended the PG era when he busted open Randy Orton the hard way. Then he got in a fight with Jericho in the backstage, pal. Everything Brock does at SummerSlam is must see. People are talking about it. Well, what else can I say? He's Mr. SummerSlam.
Bro, he was hitting shoot elbow strikes on Bob Orton's son, and then the Ayatollah of rum and cola punched him backstage, bro. Ridiculous.
Oh my god, the Ayatollah of rum and cola.
Anyway.
All right, let's get to reason number 9. He carried the PG era when Roman Reigns couldn't. I love the way that's passive, really aggressive worded. You could argue that Brock is the face of the reality era over Roman Reigns. I think there's a very valid argument of Brock being the face of that era from like 2014 to, I guess, nowadays to like 2019, you could say. Yeah,
literally. Like, the reasoning for this one, at SummerSlam 2014, when the torch was passed and Cena was no longer the top guy as of SummerSlam 2014, from then on, for the next legitimately 5 years, Brock Lesnar was the face, the star of WWE. Brock Lesnar, this guy was the top dog, the top guy. A 504-day Universal title run. He broke the streak before, but just generally, he was the top guy, based off the streak rub. Like, Brock was the guy to carry that, 5-year span when babyface Roman Reigns was getting, 70% negative reactions, and you'd go to, Chicago, and, 80% of the fans were just booing a babyface top guy. Kevin, God bless Brock Lesnar, pal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he carried that era, and he's synonymous with the PG era, whereas Cena went part-time as well, but Brock Lesnar, whenever he did come around, he was always more important than Cena in my book, from that time frame.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, boy. And then we move on to reason number 10. This one made the Universal title mean something. Kevin, this belt debuted. Okay, it debuted with Fergal Devitt, a 35-year-old man from Ireland dressed in Carnage paint, punching Seth Rollins as the crowd was just booing the red championship design. That was how this belt debuted. It was a laughing stock out the jump. If this is like a 100-meter sprint and the Universal title's in lane 3, the title just collapsed out of the blocks and was on its face from the jump. Okay, meanwhile, everyone else is taken off. The Universal title's just down in the dumps. Brock Lesnar takes the belt and sprints the next 100 meters and carries this thing to some kind of prominence, okay? Brock Lesnar, Kevin, just walk us through this. How much did he do for this championship?
He elevated it immensely. I mean, you had Triple H handed to Kevin Owens a couple weeks after Fergal relinquished it, and then Brock just, once he won it at WrestleMania 33, he held it till SummerSlam 2018, and yeah, he made the title legit. You had Paul Heyman out there announcing him. Everything Brock did at that point in time was just unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, the Universal title. It was it still doesn't have the same prestige. Like, yeah, Roman Reigns makes it feel important, but it's still goofy as a concept. Like, it's so like Disney, WWE just trying to create their own terminology. But Brock did the best he could. He did his damnedest with it. You could argue that he's the best Universal Champion. I think most people will say Roman Reigns in his current run, but in my mind, they're 1 and 2.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Then reason 11. A bit of a continuation on reason 10 and a couple of the ones we've mentioned before. Feels like a final boss as world champion. Just generally feels like a final boss. When you take on Brock and Brock comes out the way he does, it feels like a final boss battle. I think that's the best way to put it. It feels big time. It feels must see. It feels just like a marquee, like big time match. So, yeah. Anything else with this one, Kevin? Or?
No, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. And then 12, he makes any championship look cool. Yeah, you can put any belt on him. Doesn't matter what it is. Has he ever won any undercard belts that I think about it? Any U.S. title, Intercontinental title? I don't think he has.
Nah, because those belts are the guys like Seth Rollins, not guys like Brock Lesnar, so... Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, he made that cherry red Universal title look cool. Like, what else is there to say?
Oh, that's so true. That's so true, yeah. God.
Yeah, and so reason 13... He's the only guy who can make a match interesting without a storyline. I mean, you could argue that Undertaker could do the same thing, but Brock, when you strip it down to nuts and bolts, you put Brock out there, you could just say, hey, Brock is going to wrestle, I don't know, Brock's going to wrestle Andrade at an indie match, and there's no story behind it. People are going to tune in, people are going to watch. I know that's a terrible example, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, because the thing with Brock, whether it's the David vs. Goliath element, whether it's insert indie guy X versus Brock, whether it's a heavyweight, face-off battle, like, no matter what you put Brock in, it's going to be interesting. So, yeah, absolutely. Objectively, reason 13 is just objectively correct. So, that's that one. Then reason 14, never tried to be a mic worker. And this is the thing which leads us to reason 15, the dynamic with Paul Heyman. The fact that Brock came in the door with Paul Heyman, it just worked. As Heyman said, he saw this like god tier piece of clay in 2001 in OVW and knew he wanted to do his best to mold this clay into the next big thing, and that's really what turned out to take place. Paul Heyman did his best to be the mic guy, because Brock Lesnar, he can be decent with promos. He's cut some funny or like interesting ones over the years, like here and there sparingly, but just generally Paul Heyman, Kevin, has been a god tier mic worker for our beast incarnate, pal.
Yeah, I mean, Brock, he used to be okay, like backstage segments. He could be charismatic and funny back in his early days, but it was made clear once he returned in 2012 that Paul Heyman was going to handle all the promos, and the shtick kind of got a little bit old. It kind of got recycled at points where it'd just be Paul Heyman. Oh, my client is 21. He made The Undertaker 21-1 at WrestleMania. Like, it got repetitive, but they did some things to freshen it up over the years, and Paul Heyman is one of the best in the history of the business on the stick, and him and Brock, they're like peanut butter and jelly. They're just a perfect fit. And I think that's objective, as you would say, pal.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the thing with Paul Heyman, that format of Brock staying there looking like that final boss, as we mentioned, as Heyman's literally explaining the storyline, like, it did get pretty damn repetitive at times. But nonetheless, it just worked out well. And I mean, Paul Heyman, you just look, the dynamic of Paul Heyman, the perfect example was the Hijack Raw show in 2014, where Raw was in Chicago, and they were going out in front of these 15,000 deranged CM Punk fans who were going to hijack the show regardless. Heyman comes out there and takes the fans going nuts and spins it into them wanting to see Lesnar versus Taker at WrestleMania 30. Like, unbelievable, fantastic dynamic, Kevin, just simply excellent.
Oh yeah, exactly. Then in Reason 16, his theme song is it's cool. His theme song is incredibly cool. It's a recognizable theme song. I think most people who hear it, they'll think of Brock Lesnar. You know, it's not like super recognizable like a John Cena's theme song or a Hulk Hogan or a Stone Cold, but it's like the second tier below. And it's just a really good theme song. It's one you like. For me personally, I could listen to his theme song while I'm working out to get that extra boost to get through my workout. Am I right?
Oh god, yeah. That's what that song really is. It's a bump up, like, hype kind of song, but it's not corny. It's not cringe. It's a cool song. You know, like, you can listen to that really anywhere. Gym is a great example of a good place for it. It is really good when you're at the gym. So yeah, it's just excellent theme song, pal.
Absolutely. Then 17, his entrance. His entrance is fantastic. It's one of the best entrances in wrestling history. He comes out, he does his signature jumping pose. He just does this like godlike Viking scream. You got fireworks going, and if he's holding the belt, it looks even better. His entrance truly is a spectacle. It's a larger-than-life beast making their way to the ring to just wreak havoc. It doesn't really get any better than that. In my opinion, there's no entrance, aside from maybe The Undertaker's, that leaves like, you already know it's going to be a big fight. You know the business picked up, the atmosphere is different. It's just, yeah, I would say second to Undertaker in that respect.
Yeah, it's one of like the 2 or 3 entrances, which like I wish I could have been or would be in the front row to see. Obviously Taker's the other one, but like being in the front row as Brock Lesnar is like, storming down to ringside, just like seeing him from like 3 feet away, like doing like the entrance would be unreal. The way Brock jumps up on the apron and just like he, just not Ultimate Warrior's the top rope, but he like, pulls on the rope, pyro goes off, he's like roaring. It's just a sick entrance. Like it's an entrance that, I mean, you could show anybody. There's no like inside knowledge you have to understand to find the entrance good or any inside bit. It's just a cool entrance, Kevin, which is all you can ask for in pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah, Reason 18, he's an incredible storyteller in ring. And he has incredible psychology. Everything he does makes sense. Everything he does looks legitimate. Every move he does, every strike he does looks like it hurts. And yeah, he could tell great stories in the ring. Whether it's like with Samoa Joe, whether the story was like, can Samoa Joe choke out Brock Lesnar? Can Samoa Joe out submission and a legitimate MMA fighter? That's just one story that comes to mind. But because you look at his matches, like there's good storytelling because he's beating people up for real. Like he's having a match where he's beating up Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. He's throwing him around. He's punching him in the back. Like that actually hurts. So when Roman Reigns is selling, trying to get babyface heat, it's pretty legit because everything Brock does has psychology and it works. You don't watch a Brock match and you don't see like 3 guys jumping off like the top of a steel cage and this choreographed spot. You never see anything like that in a Brock match. It's just everything he does makes sense. Oh,
absolutely. Like, I mean, yeah, that example is perfect, but just generally with Brock, like, things seem to make sense for the mass majority. It's not just any moves for really the sake of moves. Like, I went back and watched Punk vs. Brock from SummerSlam 2013, like, the other week, in preparation for this Brock Appreciation Week, and I'm watching it going, like, there's no wasted, really, actions with this. He fights like a big dude who he just wants to beat this guy up and punish him. That's how he fights. It's how he wrestles. It's what makes his matches so good. Because there's no like, I guess nothing over the top in a sense that it's just totally unnecessary and it kills the flow of the match. So, yeah, absolutely right. That's reasons, I guess, 18 and 19. Then reason 20, Kevin, Brock's a master of facial expressions. Heyman definitely is as well. And definitely Heyman's given Brock some advice over the years with that. But my God, dude. I mean, the example of Keith Lee at the 2020 Royal Rumble's a perfect one. So you've got Brock Lesnar in the ring. He's dismantled, like, by that point, I think, like 11 guys. He might have tossed, like, 10 of them out already. And he's in the ring. He's, like, he's got his, like, beetroot red face. He's, pretty tired. and then bask in his glory plays, and Keith Lee comes out, full machismo on show, and Brock's like, oh, God. Well, so who's this guy? And then, like, he's on Heyman, like, who's this bloke? Like, it's just, like, that right there made Keith Lee a bigger star than anything they've done on the main roster since. Just Kevin.
Oh, that's objective, pal. And then there's the famous meme, the Brock laughing meme. It's just like and then when he gets serious and the camera zooms in on his face when he's beating people up. It doesn't get any better than that. Everything he does is believable. It goes back to Reason 18 and 19, but when he's making facial expressions, it looks like he legitimately wants to hurt the person he's in the ring with, and that's all you can ask for. Like, it's like he flips a switch when he's out there performing and he's in performing mode. Just everything he does is perfect from that aspect.
It's just that combat background, which we spoke a bit of before. We're going to speak of in much more detail soon. Like, it's that real combat experience to where it does feel real, because he's been in so many like legitimate like college wrestling fights, amateur wrestling fights in general. He's wrestled like probably animals on his farm in South Dakota. Like this guy, it's just he flips that switch, my guy. He flips that switch, pal. Damn it.
Oh yeah. Reason 21, he's a moment maker, and Reason 22 is they kind of go hand in hand. He broke the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. So, yes, Brock does make more moments than that, but there is no bigger moment than when he broke the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Everybody knows where they was. If they watched it live, you know where you were. You remember exactly what room you're in, where you were standing, what bar you were in. That was a moment in wrestling where time stood still when Brock Lesnar pinned the Undertaker 1, 2, 3 at WrestleMania 30. It was nothing like it. I just remember all the air was taken out of the room. I didn't even know what was going on. I thought it was like something happened. I thought the Undertaker was actually hurt. There was a botch. Then you had Paul Heyman screaming on the sideline, just in disbelief. Yeah, incredible. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I love that. Yeah, I put this as 22. Broke the streak. Because 21 and 1, 22.
Clever. I see what you did there, pal.
Yep, there's a bit of long-term storytelling in this list there, John. But yeah, just generally with the Undertaker's streak, like, I mean, the debate's been had ever since it happened. Was Brock the right guy? Should it have broken? To me, when it comes to the streak, real quick, either you never have the streak get broken, or it gets broken by, I guess, Brock, or maybe heel Roman. That's like the only real case I can see it breaking. Brock, as all these reasons we're going to mention in this video.
Wait, you didn't want like 2015 Daniel Bryan to break the streak?
As I was saying, the Undertaker streak, it either shouldn't have broken, or Brock or Roman. Like, people saying Bray Wyatt as like the new face of fear should beat the streak. I'm just like, come on. Like,
Bray Wyatt that was like holding lanterns while Dean Ambrose gets pinned by Seth Rollins. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, the same Bray Wyatt who literally had to rely upon an exploding TV monitor to win a TLC match against John Moxley. Like, ridiculous. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. This video is a praise video for our beast incarnate himself. So yeah, 22, the streak was incredible, but 21 really. The moment maker stuff, Brock gets it. Like when he first came to WWE, he literally told Vince, like, I just want to entertain. And then, yeah, ever since then, he's entertained. Some of these moments over the years with Brock have been unbelievable. Yeah. So that's 21.
Let's go through a couple of them real quick. So you got WrestleMania 19 where he falls on his head for the entertainment of these fans, almost dies in the main event of WrestleMania 19. Yeah, the night after WrestleMania 28, he returns, arguably the greatest return in wrestling history. You could make the case. Just so on and so forth. Like the squash, the demolition of John Cena. The shoot elbow strikes to Randy Orton. There's just so many moments attached to this guy's name. Eddie, that's just a few.
When Eddie beat him in the match of No Way Out, and Brock in these matches such as the Triple Threat at the 2015 Rumble or the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam 2017, when he gets taken out by the guy who's supposed to be the up-and-coming babyface, or he gets just generally taken out, and he emerges back mid-match like this just Goliath, Godzilla from the gurney. He runs out and beats people up. It's insane, my guy. It's ridiculous, bro.
I hope the shoot elbow strikes got their own reason, or else we're gonna have to make this 101, pal.
They've definitely got their own reason. Trust me. Then we move on. 23. This one, dope nicknames. Obviously the Beast is the main one. That's like been Brock's thing. The Beast. The Conqueror. I think that's pretty sick. The Conqueror generally. obviously the next big thing. Just Brock's nicknames. Wrestlers need good nicknames if you're gonna even remotely care about them. They need nicknames that actually have a bit of merit to them. The next big thing, Conqueror, the Beast. It's better than something like the Prince, when the guy doesn't have a Prince gimmick. But anyway.
Yeah, when you say the Beast and Conqueror, I can't help but hear it in Paul Heyman's voice, where he's screaming, "The Beast, the Conqueror, the 1 in 21 and 1." Like, I just can't help but hear that shtick. And that just speaks to how great Brock Lesnar is. You just hear the Conqueror and you think of just happy times in wrestling fandom. This is great. And reason 24, Bork Laser. Can you explain this one to me? Because I don't remember this. I don't know if I've ever even heard it. Obviously, I know people refer to him as Bork Laser, but I don't think I'm really in tune to it.
Yeah, basically, just more of a bit of an inside bit. The fact that, like, I mean, it's a fun bit to say, Bork Laser. I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a Grimm's Toy Show bit, but just generally, it's a variation of Brock. It's a funny, just like, meme upon Brock Lesnar. Like, he takes a Brock Lesnar, something so legitimate, so serious, and you call him Bork Laser, and you make him a bit of a meme. Like, it's funny, okay? It's funny, pal. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Then reason 25, he's a god tier farmer. That's great. I mean, we all know Brock Lesnar and his farm in Canada. He's out there he's killing hogs with his bare hands. He's choking hogs, pal. He's wrestling goats. He's shooting deer and carrying them on his back. Like his Red Dead Redemption. He's killing raccoons, throwing it in his bag, and cooking the raccoons for dinner and giving them to his wife and kids. Like that's what Brock Lesnar's doing. He's not like going to a Starbucks and like at 7 o'clock in the morning in some urban city waiting in line. No, Brock Lesnar's out there growing his own coffee, pal. Making his own coffee.
No, Brock's hitting shoot elbow strikes on some goat because the goat pisses him off. So Brock's at this farm in the middle of like a 500-acre ranch, just with shoot elbow strikes on a goat. Like, Jesus Christ. Brock's a different breed, bro. He's a different breed. Also,
he's got the goat mounted in the full mount. He's just raining down shoot elbow strikes as the goat is pouring blood, pal.
Bro, he's treating that goat like Randy Couture in the Octagon, bro. Bro, he's treating it like Frank Mir at UFC 100, bro. Ridiculous.
Oh my god.
But yeah, just real quick, Elite Heat absolutely do not promote animal cruelty. It's just a bit for the sake of the video. So yeah, that's reason 25, 26. Cool upbringing story. I covered this more in the transformation of Brock video, but the fact that this guy grows up, he grows up on a dairy farm in South Dakota. He's getting cold pork chops because he just loves eating and getting big. He works out literally all day if he's not taking care of animals on the farm. He's just a quiet type kid who's like aggressive, and Brock's just a cool guy. He's just objectively awesome, pal.
Objectively, pal. Yeah, his upbringing is phenomenal. I can't wait for that video. We'll hear more about it then. Then 27. He's an amateur wrestling phenom. Alright, he's a phenom, pal. He's one of the greatest amateur wrestlers in the history of amateur wrestling. Gerald Briscoe went to Vince McMahon and said, "We gotta sign this Brock Lesnar guy," when he was like probably 17. Out there in high schools all around the nation, dropping shoot elbow strikes on other junior and senior classmen. And back in the mid to late 90s, pal.
Yeah. Bro, Brock Lesnar clean swept the NCAA heavyweight wrestling division in 1999 and 2000, bro. He was grabbing professional 19-year-old heavyweights and dumping them on their spines, bro. Ridiculous.
Yeah, reason 28, accomplished college wrestler. Reason 29, he won the NCAA Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. As JBL reminds us, he's the greatest combat athlete, Maggle. And that's one reason why he's the greatest combat athlete of all time. He's an NCAA Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, a legitimate A-list celebrity, bro.
But Nick Nemeth was a collegiate wrestler too. Why don't you like him? But
so was Cody Runnels, pal.
Oh God Almighty, Jesus Christ! At least Cody Runnels is more popular than Dustin Runnels at the moment. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Oh God Almighty, that's a whole separate kettle of fish for another day. So we move on. 30, great run in developmental. Okay, this guy, he didn't need a 6-year stint with a bunch of great 2 out of 3 falls, 50-minute matches to try and have a good developmental run. This guy, he came into OVW, he wrecked some havoc, had some great objective matches at these closed-circuit TV tapings for Jim Cornette, and then he got moved up to the WWE, Mark. Like, Kevin, this is objectively a fantastic developmental run, and hopefully, with NXT 2.0, many more like Brock Lesnar to come, so yeah, you love to see it.
I mean, he's a part of the greatest developmental class in the history of pro wrestling, with himself, John Cena, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, and Dave Bautista. He was partying with Drax in 2002, bro, before Batista became Drax the Destroyer from the Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, that's what Brock Lesnar was doing in 02 and 01. He was riding up and down the streets, hanging out with Randy Orton, going to strip clubs, getting drunk, probably carrying Randy Orton out of bars, saving him from fights. Meanwhile, John Cena's hanging out in VIP with up-and-coming rappers, rapping. You know, that's what Brock Lesnar was doing. What are the developmental guys doing now? They're like 37 years old. They got like 7 kids by the time they get signed by WWE. They've wrestled great matches in ROH and PWG and other garages and other garage feds all around the world, pal. No, not Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came from the NCAA, winning the heavyweight championship, to breaking up bar fights that Randy Orton started all across the nation.
Quick question. I think you tweeted this, and I saw someone tweet this on your take on this, because this is your area of expertise. If Randy Orton came into WWE today and he joined developmental for WWE, what would his name be?
Oh, God. I can only imagine. They'd probably just name him Randy. They would just take away Orton. It's like, hey, yeah, it's the Rand, pal. The Rand is making his entrance. He's an NXT. It's the newest NXT call-up, the Rand.
Now, they'll call him like Randall Jaker or something like that. I can picture it now. It'd be awful. Anyway, 31. Awesome WWE debut. He shows up literally the night after WrestleMania 18 and makes an impact. Just decimates a couple of the Hardy Boys there, John. Just dope. Very cool debut, pal.
Hey, treated them like jobbers, pal. How did Jim Ross say it? That Matt Hardy looked like he had been in a car accident after getting in a match with the Beast, Brock Lesnar? It doesn't get any better than that. But I read Reason 32 and I wanted to laugh, so I'm just going to read it now. Reason 32 was so good he made Steve Austin quit the company.
I'm so happy. Some of these reasons, I want you to say them and give your reactions. Because basically, if you don't, behind the scenes, I wrote these reasons and Kevin's saying most of these for the first time. So yeah, you'll have to say it. But yeah, go on, Kevin. Go on.
That is fantastic. He was so good he made Steve Austin quit the company. Wow. That's great. Good, hats off to you. Good wordplay. Yeah, I mean, Brock Lesnar, he threatened Steve Austin's spot, pal. So Steve Austin took his ball and went home, basically, because he didn't want to lose to Brock Lesnar on an episode of Raw. And as Vince put it up, you know, Brock and Steve, they can sell out of WrestleMania 20. We just got to get there. Nobody will even remember that they wrestled back in 2002 on Raw. So apparently Steve Austin didn't feel the same way, and yeah, wow. Steve Austin went home because Brock Lesnar threatened his spot, pal, and then 3 months later he was the face of the company. So
I wonder how Steve Austin. I wonder if anyone involved in the New Day versus the Bloodline match on this coming week's Raw had the same kind of feeling about the hot shotting, considering how WWE just love to hot shot their stuff now, pal. But yeah, considering this Steve Austin situation, Brock Lesnar and the talent he was so good that when Steve Austin was faced with the prospect of putting him over on Monday Night Raw, Austin took his ball, went home, and took Jim Ross going to Austin's ranch in Texas and literally crying for Steve Austin to even drag Steve Austin back. Just ridiculous.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, then Reason 33, he immediately became the top guy with WWE's most stacked roster ever, bro. And he went from hanging out with an Avenger, breaking up bar fights that Randy Orton started, to just joining a roster that had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock, Booker T, just to name a few. All those legends and icons: Chris Jericho, RVD, Edge, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, so many Hall of Famers. Joined that roster and became the top guy in 4 months? 5 months? Incredible.
Absolutely. Like, just unbelievable. Like, the roster was so stacked back then that they had to do a draft. Okay, they had to break the roster in two because there was that much talent. Brock just shows up and literally within 3 months makes Steve Austin, the guy who saved the company and saved wrestling in the late 90s, made him leave because Brock was that good. And then Brock proceeds to, I mean, we'll get to it in a moment, but unbelievable. Just, it was a stacked roster and Brock Lesnar showed up and won, pal. So that's 33. Then 34. Kevin, he won the King of the Ring when it actually meant something. Okay, this wasn't when they had Sheamus win King of the Ring in 2010 and no one cared, or when they had, did they have Wade Barrett win or someone in 2015?
Yeah,
I don't
Barrett.
Yeah, like no, this wasn't like a King Barrett. This wasn't King Baron Corbin who just won a tournament featuring great wrestlers like Shorty G and God knows whoever else was in it. This was Brock Lesnar winning a stacked King of the Ring to earn the opportunity to take on The Rock at SummerSlam, pal. You love to see it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Brock was a great King of the Ring, and then recent 35, he had a good match with a dope match with Hulk Hogan on SmackDown. So yeah, I don't really remember this match. You have to shed some light on this one, pal.
Yeah, this one was it's August 02. Brock Lesnar is just this big upcoming star, as you can tell. The next big thing, obviously. They do a match with Brock and Hogan on SmackDown. And this one, Hogan, around this time, he had like one last WWE title run, which a bunch of people online hated. He had the tag team with Edge, and he was like giving Edge a bit of spotlight. And then he has his match with Brock on SmackDown, and the crowd was going crazy. That could have main evented in WrestleMania, but they do it on SmackDown. Shows how stacked it was back then. So yeah, that's 35. Then 36, Kevin. Brock main evented the greatest SummerSlam ever, the most stacked SummerSlam ever, against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for the undisputed WWE Championship. How good?
And he beat up a legitimate A-list movie star in his first ever SummerSlam match. It wasn't like a dark match that didn't even make the air. It wasn't a middle of the card match versus like Humberto Carrillo. It was against a A-list celebrity, the biggest celebrity to ever come from wrestling, the biggest movie star in the world right now, Dwayne Johnson. That's a big deal. That's as big of a deal as it could possibly get. You talk about your first major pay-per-view. You're in the main event versus The Rock on a card that featured Triple H and Shawn Michaels killing each other, Jericho versus Ric Flair, and all these great iconic matches. I mean, Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle opened the show. Are you kidding me? 2 Hall of Famers opened the show. Just, yeah, to have Brock main event this card with The Rock, it showed how WWE felt about him, how invested they were in him, and it just, yeah, it was incredible. You had people booing The Rock, saying that he sold out. Brock was a babyface. Just a really interesting match to go back and watch if you've never seen it.
Oh, absolutely. I also love the face-offs they did in like the build. Like Brock Lesnar legitimately makes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a guy who's from like literally the tribes of Samoa and is one of the most jacked people you'll see. Brock in 02 made The Rock look like low-key small. It's just, It's unfathomable. But yeah, that's all good. That's 36. 37. Kevin, I'll get you to talk about this for just a moment. The incredible feud against The Undertaker on SmackDown. Just Kevin, the floor is yours. Walk us through this one, pal.
This is one of my favorite feuds as a kid growing up. This was really one of those feuds that, like, just captivated me as a youngin'. Watching these two guys just, like, have Hell in a Cell matches, steel cage matches, just all kinds of matches. I remember Undertaker had, like, a broken wrist or something, and he was still out there beating up Brock Lesnar. It was just... I mean, you don't get any better than this. This was easily their best feud, their best series of matches. Way better than their 2015 feud or their 14 feud. Me personally, I liked it. One of the best Hell in a Cell matches ever came from this. I think it was No Mercy that they had the Hell in a Cell match, or Unforgiven 02, one of those pay-per-views. Well, what more can I say? It was great stuff.
Oh, just simply fantastic, pal. Simply fantastic. And like the thing with that match, the No Mercy 02 Cell match, it felt like one of like the 98 or like the 2000 Hell in a Cell matches. Yep. It felt like a bloody just war. Two guys who want to like kill each other. That's like the essence of Hell in a Cell. The essence of Hell in a Cell is not ref stoppages, okay? The essence of Hell in a Cell is what you saw at No Mercy 02 between Bork Laser and Mark Calloway. So yeah, excellent stuff there. Then we move on, 38. This one isn't really, there's not really much else to say of this, just kind of an objective fact. I won the 03 Royal Rumble. Kevin?
Yeah, good fact to throw in there. Then, no big deal. He just won the Royal Rumble. Awesome. And 39. He main evented the most stacked WrestleMania ever versus Kurt Angle. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock in Stone Cold's final match ever. You had Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan. You had Triple H burying Booker T. But the main event of this show was Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. Two guys that were on SmackDown. This show, that was the B show back then. It was the C show. It was pre-taped. They had no real mainstream, legitimate A-list superstar talent on that show. but yet these guys main evented. It spoke to the SmackDown 6 era. This was right in the middle of that. You had Eddie, Angle, Brock, Benoit, Chavo, Edge, all those guys carrying SmackDown. And it was such a good product that Vince wanted to showcase them on the grandest stage in the mall and put Kurt and Brock out there, where Brock almost died for these fans, pal. He tried to hit a shooting star press. A man his size hitting a shooting star press, like if you've seen it in OVW, he did it, and he landed it perfectly. He tried to do it at WrestleMania 19, it didn't work. Nearly died for the entertainment of these fans, pal. And yeah, it's a great match. Great, everything about it was great.
Oh, no doubt about it. Like, just fantastic, incredible main event, incredible WrestleMania, and this main event, obviously everyone remembers it for Brock legitimately nearly becoming a quadriplegic, but just generally speaking, these two guys, we alluded to it with Brock as far as like the once in a lifetime athlete thing. 02, 03 Kurt Angle is like pretty near on par with Brock in this sense, as far as how he was athletically. It was absolutely unreal. Like, you look at these two guys and think, oh my god, like the talent, the athletic ability, it's unprecedented. So that's 39. Then reason 40, kind of building on that one, the trilogy versus Kurt Angle. Really for this one, Mania 19, SummerSlam 03, and the I Quit match. Kevin, out of the three, can you rank these matches for us, please?
I'd probably rank the WrestleMania match as my favorite, and then I would go the SummerSlam match and then the I Quit match. Yeah, just because the WrestleMania match, like the big fight feel in that match. If you take out Brock nearly killing himself for the entertainment of these fans, in my opinion, that's a perfect 5-star match if you take that out.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. So that's the trilogy of Kurt Angle. Then 41, awesome feud with Goldberg. Obviously with this one, the WrestleMania 20 match, we're kind of just not really going to mention that much because that wasn't really awesome in many senses. Outside of Steve Austin stunning both of them out of the company, but generally speaking, the feud with Goldberg, when they started off, they have the little kind of stare down on the walkway at Survivor Series 03. At the Royal Rumble 04, they have Goldberg cost Brock, they did like an interaction there. Obviously, No Way Out, Kevin, which you'll talk about in a moment, but yeah, just a good feud now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it brought us Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship run. It's two legitimate beasts, A-list mainstream celebrities going at it. You can't get any better than that. Obviously, it was not as good as their feud that they'd have later on that we're going to talk about. But nevertheless, reason 42, Brock had a goated segment with the mariachi band on SmackDown. If you haven't seen this segment, go out of your way. Please watch that segment with Brock Lesnar. It's the most ridiculous thing you'll ever see. This is a UFC Hall of Famer, bona fide, legitimate, credible athlete, an MMA icon out there dancing with a mariachi band. He's got the maracas. He's got the big sombrero on. It's so over the top and ridiculous, and it definitely would not happen at all in today's day and age. That would not fly. WWE would be canceled. Mm-hmm. But it was just like one of many great segments that Eddie Guerrero allowed happen. That was, quote unquote stereotypical.
Oh, it's bloody hilarious. Like Eddie, Brock, people involved with this, understood the entertainment side of this. Like Eddie Guerrero, I highly doubt at the time when he's standing backstage watching that, he's horribly disgusted and just so racially offended, and he's done with Vince McMahon. Like, Eddie's probably having a laugh backstage. You got Brock Lesnar, as you say, a 6'3", 290-pound freak of nature, the alien, the alpha male of our species, out there with literally, he's on maracas and he's like dancing around. It's just, Kevin, it's a phenomenal segment. If you haven't seen this, go watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. It don't get any better than that. Then reason 43, his match versus Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out. One of the most emotional matches in the history of wrestling. It's another one of those moments that you could put up there for Brock Lesnar's career. Obviously, this is the moment, the highlight, the go-to moment of Eddie Guerrero's career-defining moment. But Brock Lesnar made it just as important. The fact that Eddie beat Brock Lesnar made him credible, put him over in the eyes of every fan. Brock Lesnar literally made Eddie Guerrero into a Hall of Famer. Eddie Guerrero will never be forgotten because of this moment. This is more so about Eddie, but it speaks to how great of a sport Brock was, because Brock could have been like, oh, that doesn't work for me, brother, and didn't have to put over Eddie. But that shows you just how good of a guy Brock was. I'm sure he and Eddie got along well. I'm sure they had no bad blood or anything. And yeah, I mean, it was just a great match. One of those matches I feel like every wrestling fan has seen, and you've seen the moment a million times. What more else is there to say?
Oh, absolutely. It's just incredible. That's a perfect word for it. And then moving on to 44. This one, You can kind of say The Undertaker as well, but really Brock Lesnar, he was Mr. SmackDown from like, '02 when the brand split started through until 03, and then beginning of '04. The entire time Brock was there when he was on SmackDown, he was Mr. SmackDown. Obviously, after Brock left, SmackDown took a massive nosedive. You had pay-per-views being main evented by Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys with like weird stipulations, and you had JBL running out there with Orlando Jordan in the cabinet punching Booker T every episode. Like, SmackDown '04 after Brock left completely fell off a cliff and only got saved in '05 because John Cena had an ascension. But generally speaking, Kevin, Brock Lesnar, I mean, fair play. The dude carried, or was one of the main elements in carrying the SmackDown 6 era. Just sensational.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the attraction on SmackDown. Yeah, the SmackDown 6 were all great wrestlers, but Brock was the guy that drew the houses, he drew the tickets, he drew the ratings. He was the top of the card. Yeah, he did it. But yeah, Reason 45, the cover athlete of SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. I love that you included this because this is maybe the best cover in wrestling video game history. Certainly one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic. Here Comes the Pain is a royalty and wrestling game royalty. It's one of the top 2 or 3 wrestling games ever. And the cover with Brock just looking like a badass, showing his teeth, looking like a freaking animal. Yeah, but what else is there to say? Give us something, pal.
Oh, it's an incredible cover. It's so cool. Like, it's just, that cover is iconic. Like, you think of wrestling game covers. I mean, to me, I think of Rock on 2K14, I think of Punk on 13, and I think of Here Comes the Pain, and then, like, No Mercy. Like those are like the games I think of when it comes to, like, the covers, and it's just such a sick cover, my guy. So sick. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, the only cover, really, that comes close is probably WWE 2K20, where you have Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns posing like they don't want to be there on the cover. I mean, that comes close, but in all seriousness, Here Comes the Pain, the greatest wrestling video game of all time. You heard it here, pal. One of the best covers, if not the best. And then
really good.
Reason 46.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah. I'll continue with Reason 46. This one, Reason 46, overcame alcoholism and addiction to painkillers. This was during his WWE run. It's like Brock's mentioned this briefly as far as like what really being in that position that he was in WWE kind of did to his body, and really a bit mentally. But yeah, he was drinking a bottle of vodka per day, which is from reports and what he said, and then addiction to paracetamol, so painkillers. Just generally speaking with Brock, he overcame it, which was really the main thing. Getting into that position is not ideal, obviously, but yeah, like that stuff obviously happens with life. But Brock overcomes it and moves on like nothing's happened. From when this happened like 17 years ago to now, he's had just an insane life. So he overcame this, Kevin, and I mean, fair play to our beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, my God, that's insane. Yeah, and 47, the phenomenal mentality. Take on the world, give anything a go, and yeah, I mean, he believes in all his abilities. So he was like, I want to play football. I'm gonna do it. Wait, I'm gonna go play. I'm gonna go in New Japan, go wrestle. I'm gonna go to Japan. I'm gonna go try out for UFC. I'm gonna go be an MMA fighter. I'm gonna be a butcher. Like, whatever he does, he's gonna be good at, and he's gonna make it work.
Yeah, like this guy, he did something similar to what The Rock did, where like when you're near enough in your apex in one industry, he goes, I'm gonna have a crack at something else. I'm going to succeed at it. And Brock proceeded to leave pro wrestling when he was pretty much at the apex. He was going to be the guy for the next like decade in WWE. He leaves and then goes to play pro football, which, as we alluded to earlier, he hasn't actually played really since like early like high school level. And then Brock, he had this quote which I find this quote was awesome. So obviously when Brock went to play football, obviously there were heaps of detractors, like, he's from that fake wrestling world, he's never going to do anything. And then Brock goes, I'm as good an athlete as a lot of guys in the NFL, if not better. I've always had to fight for everything. I wasn't the best technician in amateur wrestling, but I was strong, had great conditioning and a hard head. Nobody could break me. As long as I had that, I didn't give a damn what anybody else thinks. So really, Kevin, just to kind of reinforce what you said with the mentality there, doesn't give a damn what people thinks, believes in himself, he believes he'll succeed. So yeah, I mean, fair play to Brock. Fair play.
Yeah, that's a great quote. It's that powerful mindset that makes great people like Brock Lesnar so great.
Bro, it's got you all choked up. It's got you all choked up, Kevin. Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm emotional. This is an emotional episode of 100 Reasons, pal.
God, and yeah, I guess transition to 49. This one, a bunch of people don't actually know like this detail. But he made an NFL roster, so the Minnesota Vikings, he made their roster between 2 and 3 months after, genuinely speaking, I know we'll use these adjectives, but genuinely speaking, a serious motorbike accident. I believe it was May 04, he has a motorbike accident. He messes himself all up. There's 4 or 5 different, serious, injuries all over his body from this accident. And he still makes an NFL roster less than 3 months later. If that doesn't show you the level of just athletic freak and machine Brock Lesnar is, I don't know what will, honestly.
Yeah, that's insane. He's never, like I said earlier, he never played any college football, semi-pro. He never did anything. He just went immediately tried for the NFL and did it. Yeah, and man, that's crazy that he even did it after a motorbike accident, serious injuries. I don't even know what it was. Maybe internal bleeding. Who knows? But wow, that's incredible.
It really is. It's just this kind of stuff with Brock. My God, I've got the precise ones here. So Lesnar had a great showing at the NFL Combine, but on April 17, a minivan collided with his motorbike and he suffered a broken jaw and left hand, a bruised pelvis, and a pulled groin. So that happens on April 17th, and literally come June 11th, he's doing a proper workout for the Vikings when he's still hampered by a groin injury, and the Vikings are like, damn, you're good, we're going to sign you. Brock's insane, and that leads us to reason 50. The only thing that could stop him from being a star in the NFL was legitimately a motorbike accident. The fact that during his, stint in the NFL in late 04, when he was on the practice squad with the Vikings, and he's working out with them in the offseason, he has legitimately a torn groin, his hamstring stuffed, he's got a broken hand still. That's the only thing that really stopped him from being a legitimate NFL star, pal. So, yeah, crazy.
You love to see it, pal. Yeah, reason 51. He was the top guy in the highly acclaimed New Japan Pro Wrestling as soon as he got there. It's a long reason. Even the bookers and promoters in Japan knew that Brock Lesnar is a much bigger star than anyone in the promotion, and it really isn't close. God, wow. That's a loaded quote. And then, 52, he won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So, yeah, the bookers, all the great bookers, the masterminds of Dave Meltzer's favorite promotion, they knew that Brock Lesnar was a bigger star, a better wrestler, better in-ring work rate ability, and they pushed him right to the top, pal. They put a rocket strapped to him, and they sent him all the way to the moon, pal.
Bro, legit, this guy came into New Japan Pro Wrestling, the supposed best wrestling promotion on earth, all through the 2010s people were saying, and it goes way, way back into, the 1900s. Brock Lesnar shows up, and immediately they literally just give him the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. They go, you are better than all our guys here. You're easily better. Antonio Inoki, Goto, all these bookers and promoters there in Japan, they knew Brock was better than anyone they have. So, yeah, you love to see it. Then, leading us on to 53, Brock has indie cred. He made it in Japan, pal. That counts as indie cred for me. So, yeah, anything else with indie cred, pal?
No, nothing there. Yeah, reason 54, he helped make the UFC mainstream.
Love that word.
Yeah, the UFC became a household product, if you will, on the back of Brock Lesnar. You had Brock Lesnar, the Ultimate Fighter, with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. Those are arguably the two biggest things that helped take the UFC from a pretty niche product with a pretty large following, and then eventually overtaking WWE as the combat sport of choice amongst casuals. Now UFC is the combat sport of choice, and that a lot of that is due to Brock Lesnar and his star power and his ability.
Oh, absolutely. Brock Lesnar, obviously, we mentioned this, we were talking about this the other day, but UFC and just MMA mainstream-wise in general, early 2000s, you've got Shamrock and stuff like that, but really Brock was big and really putting it on the map when you're building towards the UFC 100, that kind of stage. Just getting UFC off the ground and really developing that brand for them. Brock was massive, so yeah, he really helped make the mainstream. Then reason 55, Kevin, Brock wears size 4 XL gloves, and you know what that means, pal. Big hands, big you know what, pal. Brock Lesnar.
Big feet.
Yes, big feet, pal. Big feet. You know what.
Yeah, then reason 56.
Also, before we get to 56, I'm waving that off. I'm like an NFL official. I'm waving it off. 55. That reason right there is why he's still with Sable. Just want to say that. So, moving on, 56. Kevin defeated Randy Couture in the Octagon to win the UFC Heavyweight Championship, pal. You're more of the UFC head out of us too. Walk us through him defeating Randy Couture in the Octagon.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Couture is one of the most important figures in MMA history. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's responsible for training a lot of up-and-coming fighters in today's day and age. He's just a cultural icon inside the MMA bubble. Brock Lesnar comes in and beats him. Yeah, he was at the end of his prime. He didn't really have a lot left, but he was still the UFC heavyweight champion. And Brock Lesnar came in and made him look like a bum. So, yeah. It's just incredible. Becomes heavyweight champion. Then, yeah, Reason 57, he defeated Frank Mir, the guy who beat him in his UFC debut. And he beat him at UFC 100. At that point, UFC 100 was the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history. I believe it was headlined by Brock and Mir. Maybe not. I don't remember exactly. I think it was. And yeah, he became heavyweight champion at the biggest UFC pay-per-view. So, I mean, that says everything you need to know about Brock Lesnar.
I mean, what more can you ask for, my guy? Like, Brock comes in, his first fight's against Frank Mir, legend of the sport, legend of the division. And, Frank Mir just gets the better of Brock. It's Brock's first fight, puts up a good showing in the first one. And then Brock comes out there, UFC 100, the UFC heavyweight title's there. Brock just casually beats Frank Mir. Like this is Brock Lesnar from that supposedly fake wrestling business. A guy who's not that legitimate. He's from wrestling. He just beats Frank Mir at UFC 100, the biggest show they had to that point. Like, Kevin, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Reason 58, I love this. He clowned Bud Light, the UFC sponsor, for UFC 100. And he was like, oh, they won't pay me nothing. And then he promoted a different product. I don't remember what it was. Was it Monster or something? But he just blatantly disrespected the sponsor of UFC, which is great. It's an iconic Brock moment.
It's so Brock, dude. It really is. No, he promoted Coors Light instead. But that one just Brock being Brock, really just he's his own individual. Many people there wouldn't have even gone near insulting or clowning on the sponsor because they want to fall in line with the system and what works. But Brock's just like, they don't pay me nothing, and then he proceeds to promote something else. So that's just so Brock. That's 58. Then 59, Kevin, he fought through glandular fever, and not just like a light-on breed of it. Like Brock could have died of glandular fever. It was that bad, but it's just Brock Lesnar, pal. Of course he overcame this and thrived afterwards. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, of course he's a super athlete. He's an alien. He's the guy that if aliens ever overtake Earth, Brock Lesnar's the guy that we want to have him face. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shock that he fought through a deadly disease. I mean, it's not the first illness that he fought through. It won't be the last. So Reason 60 overcame I can't even say
I got you.
Diverticulitis.
Yeah, there you go. He overcame diverticulitis. It was so bad. He easily could have died. This one, yeah, there was the glandular fever, but the diverticulitis, the one Brock, like, the strain of it and the type of diverticulitis Brock had, legitimately could have killed him. The surgeon who did the surgery to really, I don't know the exact specifics of the diverticulitis surgery, but the surgeon who did the surgery was like, that was like a bad strain of diverticulitis, like you could have died, like legitimately. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar, I mean, pal, this guy's built different, absolutely.
Yeah, he was out there fighting with it. He was fighting through diverticulitis. I remember there was one fight where he got like kicked in the gut. Oh. That was it. Like, that was the end of the fight. It was scary.
Jesus.
It was very scary.
Like, legit, this is a guy with something going on, like something in his stomach going on that could be the death of him. He's fighting in the Octagon against these 6'4", 300-pound, most ruthless assassins on the planet. Brock's going into the Octagon, bro, when he's got his stomach about to like give in and kill him, and Brock's putting up a fight. He fears nothing, this guy. It's unbelievable, pal.
Oh yeah. In 61, he returned from near death to become the unified UFC heavyweight champion. Is that true? He won the title after he got diagnosed with diverticulitis?
Yeah, well, this was after, obviously, he comes back. He beats, he beat Carwin? With that one?
No, I don't think he won the title afterwards. I think he just came back and he had a couple fights.
He had a fight with Carwin and beat him. I know that. It sounds better for the sake of the reasons, saying he won the world title after it, but I will concede defeat if that's wrong, because I don't know. I just wanted to get a dope sounding reason for the list.
Yeah, so I mean, he came back from his diverticulitis and fought in the octagon. I don't think he fought for the title though, or he might have fought for the title, but he lost it. I don't know. I'm gonna try to get some context on it. Hold on. When he fought Shane Carr when he was already champion, I know that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, it was 2010. Cain Velasquez beat him. Yeah, it was Cain Velasquez that won the fight.
Lesnar faced Carlin at UFC 116 on July 3rd to unify the heavyweight titles. Early in the first round, Carlin knocked down Lesnar heavy punches, blah, blah, blah. Opening up Carlin's eye. Next round, Carlin's noticeably fatigued, and Lesnar managed to score a takedown, attain a full mount, then move into the side control and finish the fight with a triangle choke. With the victory, Lesnar became the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion, earning his first submission of the night and giving Carlin his first loss.
Yeah. That was pre the illness though.
Damn it! Oh, the reason doesn't sound as good. Anyway, Lesnar beat Shane Carlin. He's a legitimate mainstream star. So,
well, we could put this in there. He had a post-fight confrontation with The Undertaker. At a UFC fight. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I sure have. That's long-term storytelling, pal. That in 2002 when they were feuding, they knew they'd do that in 2010, I think.
Yeah, it was 2010, yep.
Jeez.
And the whole idea was for them to have a match, too. That's why they did it.
That's great. That's absolutely great. And then, moving on, Region 62. Sustained success at the highest level of mixed martial arts, and he kept fighting through severe health trauma. Kevin, this is kind of to put a bow on what we've done for the last, about 5 to 10 minutes with this UFC bit. Brock's just, he built different, this guy. Built different.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he's main eventing UFC cards with a legitimate illness that could end his life, and he's fighting through that. He's going through the rigors of training camp. Incredible, just truly incredible. It speaks to how great he is, man. That's really all you can say. It's just that's how great Brock Lesnar is. Absolutely.
Then in 63, genius businessman. Okay, he chose to work a part-time WWE schedule with full-time pay. Well, much better than full-time pay with Brock was making. As Brock ages, considering obviously the diverticulitis and the glandular fever and all this kind of health stuff, Brock works a WWE schedule making ungodly money, being the top guy in WWE, working 2 or 3 matches a year, otherwise standing in the ring as Paul Heyman yells about how great he is. Brock is an absolute, he's a business mastermind, pal, objectively.
Objectively, pal. Yeah, I mean, he's legit. Yeah, he works part-time. He works at best 10 matches a year, and he's the highest paid wrestler by far. Maybe Reigns is now close to him, but Brock for years was the highest paid wrestler.
Oh yeah.
And yes, Cena definitely makes more money than him, but Cena doesn't make it all from wrestling.
Yeah.
Brock makes all his wrestling from cashing those sweet Vince McMahon checks, pal. And another thing too about how good of a businessman he is. He knows how to play Vince McMahon. It's not a coincidence that when there's rumors out there that Brock's contract is up, pictures surface on the internet of Brock hanging out with Dana White, having dinner with him in Vegas, the potential rumors about him going back to the UFC. He pits the UFC and WWE against each other in a bidding war, and it works every time. He ends up getting more money out of WWE. And then there was an alleged bidding war with him and AEW. He's just a smart, savvy businessman.
Right, yeah, Brock knows what's up. And speaking of that, 64, Brock lives on a ranch in the middle of nowhere with an objective supermodel. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just so Brock, isn't it? That's just dope. Gotta get around Brock. Love that.
Yeah, he's married to one of the hottest women in wrestling history, in Sable. One of the greatest divas ever. He's married to her. She's a bombshell. She's a crush of many wrestling fans. And Brock's yeah, that's my wife. He stole her from Mark Merrow.
No, he stole her from all the 17-year-olds on wrestling Twitter who are entitled to these women, apparently. That's what Brock did, pal. Come on, man.
And there's a story out there that when Mark Merrow found out that Brock was making a move on his wife, he's like, well, it's Brock Lesnar. Yeah, what am I gonna do? He can have her, pal.
That's almost as good as the Shawn Michaels and Sonny shower stories. That's just fantastic. Moving on, 65. Brock, he's a very private individual. So he doesn't put up with BS from the media or just social media. Another quote with this one. Okay, this is direct quote from Brock Lesnar himself, is pretty basic. Train, sleep, family, fight. It's my life. I like it. I just don't put myself out there to the fans and prostitute my private life to everybody. In today's day and age, with the internet and cameras and cell phones, I just like being old school, living in the woods, and living my life. I came from nothing at the moment, or at any moment, you can go back to having nothing. That was Brock Lesnar in 2010. Ever since, cell phones, that kind of life, social media, is taken over the world way more than it was in 2010. Brock Lesnar stuck to this lifestyle, and fair play to him, Kevin. He doesn't put himself out there on social media so much and harass people on Twitter with 9 followers who say something bad about him. Okay, you got to get around Brock Lesnar for that.
Yeah, he's one of the few celebrities. Like, he might be the only celebrity that I can think of that's like this. That you'd never see Brock Lesnar turn up on social media. Like there was a picture of him and Gable Stevenson, them posing. You've seen pictures like him at his daughter's volleyball game. You see stuff like that, but it's like you don't see Brock Lesnar like doing motivational speaking on his Instagram story. You don't see him like parading his cars, parading his guns, his sneaker collection. You don't see any of that. Brock Lesnar hardly ever does interviews. He did like one for WWE like 12 years ago or something. It was so cringe. You know what I'm talking about? Where Michael Cole's like, "So Brock, tell me what it was like coming back to WWE." It's like, I don't know. It was just cringe. But yeah, Brock's super private guy. And like I said, one of the few celebrities I can think of that's like that. There's not very many that are like him.
Absolutely. Yeah, just truly. And then we move on. Reason 66. Amazing return in 2012. I mean, this one, granted, people had signs in the crowd about Brock and word got out like 3 days earlier. But the moment itself is still one of the objective greatest returns in wrestling history, pal. Objective.
Oh yeah, for people like me that I was not following the wrestling news, wrestling dirt sheets at all in 2012, I had no clue that Brock Lesnar was going to show up on Raw. So I'm watching Raw. I think you got you got John Cena, Kane running around. You got Cena's down bad. He's down horrendous. He just lost the biggest box office WrestleMania match in history. He made more money than he's ever made in his life in one paycheck. But he's down horrendous because he lost a fake fight to Dwayne Johnson. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits and it gets better. It just gets worse. I mean, for John Cena after that, he sees like it's like deja vu. That moment where Cena's face is like, what? Well, what is this MMA fighter, this legitimate UFC star doing here? It was really an incredible moment in Miami. Really good. I wish I had been there live to witness it.
Oh, it would have been so sick to be there live. Absolutely. And then the 67, kind of mentioned this one a bit before. A bit of a cheap shot, nonetheless. Unlike CM Punk, Brock earned the privilege of wrapping sponsors on his shorts. Okay, Brock's big time, Punk was not. So, that's 67.
Wow.
This is from a Punk fan. It hurts me to say, but no, the Punk was not as big as he thought he was, especially at that time. Moving on. 68, Brock Lesnar, Here Comes the Pain. Kevin, have you seen this DVD, the documentary?
No, I have not.
Oh, a bit of an L, but it's a good Brock documentary. It's a good Brock documentary.
Is this the one I was talking about, where Michael Cole's doing the awkward questions?
Yeah, well, this is the one where you had they cropped a bunch of Brock segments and his WWE confidential bits from 10 years ago and random stuff about Brock, and they just chucked into an hour-long documentary about him.
Yes, I have seen this. Yeah, they had some random backstage interviews with him. Yeah, where he's in character the whole time.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I have seen this. Yeah.
The one where he's talking about him growing up on a ranch on WWE Confidential from 2002 and the build up to the SummerSlam match with The Rock. You got Brock just in full character, just death staring at the camera, explaining how he grew up in South Dakota on a farm, and he got called pork chops by his friend. Just hilarious, dude. Honestly.
That is great stuff, isn't it? They have, what were we at?
69, pal.
69. Yeah, his first match back was, absolute big time. You've got, it was Extreme Rules with John Cena. Doesn't get any bigger than that. The best Extreme Rules match in wrestling history, in my opinion. It was good stuff. Big fight feel.
Absolutely. Just, can't say much more about that. Just absolutely. And then, 70, kind of a part of the return, and 69, awesome brawl with Cena on Raw. This one, the build was a bit messy this time. This is when you had Lord Tensai, so you had Matt Bloom dressing up like a Japanese samurai, poorly reciting Japanese dialogue into the camera. You had John Laurinaitis out there cutting 15-minute promos every week on the Raw Super Show. And then the shows were ending with massive brawls with the whole locker room. You got Cena palming aside Michael McGillicuddy and Heath Slater to punch Brock Lesnar. and the crowd would go crazy. It has like 140 million views on YouTube, Kevin. Objectively mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, you got John Cena, the biggest star in wrestling. You have Brock Lesnar, the biggest star in MMA, the biggest star in combat sports, Maggle. It doesn't get any bigger than that. It's a perfect storm, if you will. That's the real perfect storm, not Triple H versus Brock, pal, if you ask me. And then, Reason 71, perfect storm, I alluded to it. Main evented the 25th annual SummerSlam versus The Game, Triple H, in the perfect storm. I mean, you had Brock breaking Triple H's arm like this. I imagine for kids that grew up watching this must have felt so real.
Yes, it did. It really did. It was like you're watching Raw and you got Brock's in the ring with Shawn Michaels in the Kimura, and then Heyman's just like Triple H, if you come into the ring, my client will break Shawn's arm, and Triple H stands still, he doesn't move, and Brock breaks his arm anyway. It was just frightening, alarming content, pal.
Oh yeah. This is also Triple H. The last time he was in a ponytail. It's also synonymous for that too. So yeah, I mean, and the match was good. This SummerSlam match wasn't great. Brock and Triple H didn't really have great chemistry, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely not on a short list of Brock's best opponents or Triple H's best opponents. But it was good. It felt real. It had the big fight feel. It's two larger-than-life icons, and this was probably the best of their series of matches that they ever had.
Oh, objectively. And then speaking of great matches, I don't think there's really much we can say about this one because we've praised this to nauseum on this podcast. But 72, goated match versus CM Punk, SummerSlam 2013, Best versus the Beast. I've said so much about this. Kevin, do you have anything else you want to input on this match now?
I mean, this was objectively the best MMA fighter of all time facing the worst MMA fighter of all time.
So true.
But when you put it in a fake wrestling ring and you call it entertainment, pal, they made magic, damn it.
That was so perfectly delivered. I love it. Moving on, 73. We talked about this one as well earlier, but 73 gave us one of wrestling's most shocking moments ever. WrestleMania 30 with the streak. You said it perfectly before. You know exactly where you were for this. You knew exactly how you were feeling. You can vividly remember it. Just what a moment. No one thought Brock would actually break the streak going in. Everyone thought, Taker will win. He'll go to 22-0. What have you. Taker will overcome a Brock onslaught and then get a win with a pile driver. Brock wins, and it was like, oh my god. You thought it was an audible. You thought something had gone wrong. You thought they botched it. It was unbelievable.
And it turns out Mark Calloway had a severe concussion, but, that's neither here nor there. Just the quietness, how quiet it was in the arena was crazy. There's never been anything like that in a wrestling arena. It was like you could literally hear a pin drop, legitimately hear a pin drop.
75,000 people just stunned. The world watching at home, stunned on their WWE networks, just stunned, just unbelievable.
And who could forget the wrestling fan meme? Who could forget that too? Iconic.
Yes, that's so good. Then moving on, 74 and 75. These go hand in hand. 74 decimated John Cena at SummerSlam 2014. This one, really, this match signified the end of Cena as the objective top guy in the company. This was Cena's run from WrestleMania 21 to SummerSlam 2014. That was Cena as the top guy. This match was the end of it. This match signified the beginning of, I guess you'd call it the reality era with Brock and Reigns as the top guys, 5 years. I guess that's what you call this. Yeah, just dope stuff.
Mm-hmm. The screaming Suplex City bitch, iconic moment. Yeah, I love it. I love that. That's another Brock moment. He coined Suplex City. Then you had the T-shirts, Eat, Sleep, Suplex, Repeat. You had the other T-shirt, Suplex City, and then whatever city Raw was in. You have that. I always wanted one of those shirts. I regret that I didn't get one. But yeah, I mean, an iconic moveset. Can I talk about this, or we can talk about it later on?
But yeah,
the Suplex City moveset, he would do 12 suplexes to a guy, and you had Paul Heyman screaming. You had the crowd chanting 1, 2, every suplex he does. It was really a good stick for Brock while it lasted.
It really wasn't. You have Paul Heyman at ringside, just over dramatically. If Brock's done 3 suplexes, Heyman will be throwing up the 3, and you'll see on the hard cam, Heyman's staring at the 3 fingers he's holding up at the amount of suplexes Brock's done, as though this is the holy grail. He's done 3, and then the crowd's 4, 5. It's just, yeah, it's such a good bit, Kevin. It really was.
Absolutely. In 76, a god tier triple threat match, one of the greatest triple threat matches of all time at Royal Rumble 2015. Cena, Rollins, and Brock. Talk to us, pal.
Oh, it's incredible. Like, this match, I've seen this so many times. It's the whole element, the dynamic of Brock coming off breaking the streak, being one of the most striking presences of our lifetime, and a god-tier athlete. He looked legitimately unstoppable. This Brock Lesnar was the one who people want to see Daniel Bryan beat. I'll never understand it, but yeah, this Brock Lesnar, he's put through the table. Seth Rollins goes flying off the top rope, nearly kills himself, puts Brock through the table. Brock gets taken off on the gurney. Brock comes back, decimates Cena. He's throwing Cena like Cena's about 10 pounds. He's throwing Rollins like Rollins is nothing. It was just incredible. Like this match was the only saving grace of this awful pay-per-view. Just, yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, pay-per-view, I mean, yeah, pay-per-view, like you said, was terrible. But no, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Then, 77, an amazing WrestleMania main event versus Roman Reigns. Until, Seth Rollins, when Mr. Chainsaw Man came out and cashed in and pulled off the heist of the century there, John. Roman and Brock, they were beating each other up. That's like a legitimate WrestleMania main event. We haven't really had a more legit WrestleMania main event than that one since just two guys. Like, that's what wrestling is supposed to be. What Brock and Reigns did. Just Brock beating the life out of Reigns. Reigns taking it. Reigns fighting back. The comeback for Reigns, a really good sequence in the match. And I can remember a lot about this match, and that shows how good it was.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, this was really good. This match got a lot of hate going in because of like who was in it, who wasn't in it. Before they did on the night, just an excellent match. It was 16 minutes of these two, Brock and Reigns, just going after each other, beating the crap out of each other. It was a stiff as hell match. It just awesome stuff. So yeah, that's 77. 78. Awesome throwback matches versus Undertaker. These ones, SummerSlam 2015, infamously the gif of Undertaker sitting up and laughing at Brock. That will never get old. And then the Hell in a Cell match was a throwback, like retro style cell match. Kevin, any like real memories from watching these? Like anything you want to say about these ones?
Yeah, the memes. This was just good 2015 content. Good height of the PG era. It was a breath of fresh air to have, Undertaker versus Brock. Then like other stuff we're watching at this time is like Randy Orton trying to get his hands on Rollins. You got statues flying around. Not a good time to watch wrestling. Undertaker and Brock, they did their best to make it entertaining.
Oh, definitely. Now, I mean, that carries in. You mentioned like not the best time to watch. 79. Brock put up with Dean Ambrose as BS. Like this one's surrounding the WrestleMania 32 match. Okay. The dynamic of those two never worked. Brock clearly never respected Dean. Because Dean, I mean, you saw this on the Stone Cold podcast, the Broken Skull sessions on the network. Ambrose, backstage, especially this time, I mean, Kevin, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Brock had to put up with this, then Ambrose is accusing Brock of being difficult to work with, which maybe that could be true. But, I mean, you're Dean Ambrose. What have you done, Well, why would Brock be willing to put you over?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It goes both ways, but
yeah, clearly with this,
a mess.
Clearly with this, like Ambrose and the way he was carrying himself backstage, especially, it seems like it doesn't
he was a top guy.
Yeah, it seems like he didn't have respect for things. Seemed like wasn't respectful or didn't take things that seriously. Brock clearly sees that and is offside at Ambrose from the jump. Brock isn't keen to work with Dean, so Brock becomes inherently more difficult. Then Ambrose is like, oh, he's being difficult, I'll be difficult back, and the WrestleMania 32 match ended up being such a letdown. Like, you've got this, no holds barred, straight fight, this, big match with Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, and it was 14 minutes of just meh. It was mid. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely mid. Yeah, and then recent 80, my favorite, shoot elbow strikes to Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016. This was the moment that was supposed to make wrestling mainstream again. This was supposed to be a TMZ moment, pal. I've done this rant so many times.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be the ushering in of the reality era, but it just didn't work. You had Brock killing Randy Orton as SummerSlam goes off the air, but the visual of just Brock being screw it, throwing his elbow pad, his wrist pads, taking everything off and just raining down elbows on Randy Orton's forehead. It looked like something went wrong. Orton pissed off Brock and Brock got mad and just started shooting on him. It was really for what it was a pretty damn good moment when you look back at it.
Bro, Brock took off his size 4XL gloves, threw him down, and hit shoot elbows on the guy. Ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous.
Yeah, he hit shoot elbows on a 36-year-old Viper, pal.
That's great. And then, moving on, 81, the feud with Goldberg, part 2. Really good. Brock, Obviously, the conjecture with this comes from the fact that Brock broke the streak, and then the first time he loses after that is at Survivor Series 2.5 years later in a 1-minute match versus Goldberg. I get it, but at the same time, Brock sees the long game. He saw the money match at WrestleMania 33 especially, and I guess that leads us in reason 82. Incredible Universal Championship match at Mania 33 versus Goldberg. Kevin, you were there for this. I mean, walk us through this. I mean, this would have been so sick to watch.
Oh yeah, being there live, watching these two guys beat each other up, it was like, what is happening? It was like watching a car crash, you know? You had the spear through the barricade, you had the jackhammers, the F5s, the suplexes. It was just phenomenal. It was brilliantly executed. It was like, that was the perfect way to execute it, the way they did it, making it like 5-6 minutes, however long it was. And yeah, I mean, that's not the traditional length of a Universal Championship match or a Heavyweight Championship match, but it worked for one reason, because Goldberg was limited. And in a legitimate fight, if you have Goldberg and Brock in a real fight, in a street fight, anything goes, they're not going to go past 5 minutes. So psychology, it was well done. Everything about it was good. And the feud with Goldberg, like you said, was great.
It really was. I mean, they didn't try to be anything they weren't, especially that match. That match was just... We talked about psychology at the beginning, but like that match, it made complete sense. It wasn't drawn out for the sake of getting a better star rating from cheeky old Dave. It was just a good match. So yeah, that's reason 82 and 81 as well. Then 83, the 504-day Universal Championship run. We kind of covered this as far as like the legitimacy of when he shows up, how big the matches feel and how important things feel, Kevin. But I mean, he held the title 500 plus days for one reign. Despite the conjecture it's got, that's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, people hate on it. We already addressed that, but it's still an insane reign. I know they did. I know in part this was done to spite CM Punk. At least that's what the internet will have you believe. Take that to the bank. Do what you want with it. But yeah, I mean, not an incredible, but a pretty good championship run. It's one that's memorable. There's a lot of memories that took place in it. Some good matches, and then one of those memories that took place was the feud with Samoa Joe. Reason 84. I thought this was awesome. This feud made Samoa Joe. I mean, Samoa Joe had been on the main roster for 3 months at this point in time. His biggest claim to fame was legitimately injuring Seth Rollins' knee on the road to WrestleMania 33. And then he's in here, he's going, butting heads with Brock. I remember the Raw segment to this day where Samoa Joe put Brock to sleep and Brock's face turned purple. And I was like, wow, that Brock can go, Brock can sell what he wants to sell. If he likes you and he sees something in you and he thinks that you could benefit from him, he's going to do something for you. And yeah, that Samoa Joe was a great example of it. They had the match at Great Balls of Fire. The match was what it was, but overall the feud was nicely done. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just so awesome. I mean, there was just a legitimate big fight feel to that Samoa Joe stuff, and as is the case with most everything Brock does. So yeah, easy for 84. Then 85. This one we've gone into detail as well on the Elite Heat shows, but just, yeah, God tier SummerSlam 2017 main event. For me, if you're showing a non-wrestling fan or someone who doesn't really care to watch in-ring, like bell-to-bell technical wrestling, you just want to show someone, a casual type fan, just a fun match, I'm probably showing them this one if I haven't shown them anything. This thing was it was a heavyweight car crash. You got Braun Strowman putting Brock through 3 different announce tables. You've got the gurney coming out. Heyman's crying. You've got Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns hitting the big power moves on each other. Strowman gets in the ring. He's slamming blokes down. Brock comes back. There's I think Brock or Strowman had a bloodied ear from steps, and it's just so sick, this match, Kevin. So good.
Yeah, another car crash. One of the best multi-man matches that I can think of in WWE history. It was unbelievable. You had just 4 giant heavyweights in there killing each other. It doesn't get any better than that, in my mind.
Oh, God, yeah. And then moving on, 86. This one, we're kind of linking these ones together because they're pretty similar. The Survivor Series matches he had in 17 versus Styles, then 18 versus Daniel Bryan. Excellent matches, very similar formats. The whole David versus Goliath type, I guess, shame or template to the matches. But just generally speaking, both executed really well. I mean, the talent involved is going to always lend itself to that. You got Brock Lesnar, one of the best in-ring guys ever, against guys like Styles and Bryan. Just excellent matches, pal. Excellent.
Hell, throw the match in there with Rey Mysterio too from 2019.
That's been thrown in there. There you go. Thrown in.
yeah, there you go. All good matches. Brock's Survivor Series resume is also looking pretty good too, just with those 3 matches alone.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the match with AJ especially, I thought was really good. I was curious going into it. Like, a lot of people were thinking like, oh, is this going to be Brock versus Ambrose 2.0? But AJ Styles was too damn good to get the Ambrose treatment. AJ Styles, as I'm sure, is a stand-up guy. He and Brock got along well, and you could tell that those two guys made magic. The Daniel Bryan one was a little bit more interesting though, because that one, I did have a little bit of fear going in. I was like, oh god, like is Bryan gonna like get dropped on his neck from a suplex, and like is he ready for this? Can he withstand it? But they ended up having a good match, and I mean, yeah. Which one did you prefer though out of the two?
Probably the Styles one. The Bryan one, I had similar feelings to you in the sense of, oh my god, like why are they doing this? Because I mean, everyone knows my sentiments with Daniel Bryan really wrestling ever since about 2015. Not really keen on a lot of it, especially against Brock. I think Bryan vs. Brock on paper is a stupid idea. In reality, it was executed pretty well, like, in all fairness. So, yeah, but to me, to answer the question, the match of Styles, I enjoyed a whole hell of a lot more. So, yeah, that was me. And then, I guess, Kevin, we move on to 87. This one's just a fun one. Boombox Brock. I mean, as far as the 2019 landscape of WWE, a terrible year for WWE, but Boombox Brock was some form of saving grace just tonight.
Yeah, he was entertaining. Another over-the-top entertaining segment that Brock has been involved in. It was similar to the Mariachi Band. I mean, he had the Money in the Bank briefcase. How ridiculous was Brock Lesnar, first of all, with the Money in the Bank briefcase? Like, that's just a ridiculous sight to even behold. And then he turns it into a boombox. He's dancing, like, just Brock dancing like it's like he's doing like a 1980s break dance. It was ridiculous. It was great.
Amazing.
Just Brock being Brock, and a guy of his nature and his ilk didn't need to do that. He could always be the serious ass-kicking beast, but it was good to see him take a break and not take himself so serious for a night.
Oh, damn right. It was so funny, dude. And you have Paul Heyman's like doing the guitar bell. It's just, that is gold, dude. That is gold. So, yeah, that's 87. Then 88. This one's more so just for the Twitter gif. But when he assaulted Seth Rollins, well, he did a few times, but the bit where they're backstage, and Brock hits the F5 to Rollins onto like the gurney, and you hear just Rollins just like legitimately just thud onto the gurney, and it makes this like kind of noise. Like you just think you're watching and think cringe, but you kind of laugh at the same time because it's funny to watch, you know. Like
I don't remember that. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Have you not? Wow. Okay. Wow.
I can't say I have. I have to go back. I have to go find it after this.
This will be in the video that you're watching now. But yeah, it's just it was so just graphic because the camera was like right at the gurney when Brock did it, so you could hear every bit of the sickening thud of Rollins' whole body hitting this like gurney for real. It was something. But yeah, Seth Rollins, I don't know, for what he put us through as viewers for 2019, somewhat warranted. So that was that one. Then 89, Kevin. This one was objectively a great way to kick off SmackDown on Fox. The squash of Kofi Kingston, pal. Walk us through. I know you're a big fan of this.
Jeez, this is ever the controversial reason here. This is gonna divide our listeners. There's gonna be no in between on this one. So the squash of Kofi Kingston. Yeah, I mean, if you put Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar on the streets and you tell them fight, it's exactly what's gonna happen. The way it played out. Now you could be angry and you could be mad that Vince squashed Kofi, but I mean, come on, Kofi had a great reign. Kofi beat Randy Orton like 3 pay-per-views in a row. He had a great WrestleMania main event moment. The guy, like, you never thought Kofi Kingston was going to be champion. So you put him in there with Brock Lesnar. What the hell did you expect? And like they wrestled each other way back when, I think in Japan for like a house show or something. That they did a network special, Brock and Kofi, maybe like 2015, 16, when the New Day was like really at their height of like the cheesy New Day. And he squashed Kofi. So like people were shocked. And then it brought like something to the first SmackDown on Fox. WWE needed a big moment. Yeah, they had The Rock there. You had, him making fun of Baron Corbin. But this was like a moment where it was like, wow, okay, this is gonna pop a rating, got Brock Lesnar there. It was good. It was a good add-on to the show.
Oh, really good stuff. I loved it. So that's 89. Then 90, and this one kind of leads into 91. So yeah, so reason 90 is the hilarious segment with R-Truth. The lead up to the 2020 Royal Rumble. Brock was on TV a lot during January, really building up this Rumble thing. Like Brock was going to go from number one and take on everyone. This R-Truth segment was just a part of it. And then leading into 91, real quick, performance in the 2020 Royal Rumble. Just sensational. So Kevin, what are your thoughts on the segment of Truth, the 2020 Rumble, all that kind of good stuff?
I don't remember the segment with R-Truth. Jog my memory.
Basically, R-Truth is like standing in the ring with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, and then R-Truth's like, I'm going to throw you out of the Rumble, Paul Heyman, and then Brock's just like laughing at him because R-Truth's saying that one, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good. I mean, another good little comedy bit. It wasn't like up there with some of the other segments we talked about, but it is memorable. It's definitely worth a shout out. And his his Royal Rumble of 2020 performance. Arguably one of the best Royal Rumble performances in history. I think it's up there with whoever you want to put in there, with Rey Mysterio's in 06 or Benoit's in 04, so on and so forth. This performance was legendary, what Brock Lesnar did, and it's just like, he made Drew McIntyre into a star that night at the Royal Rumble. He made Keith Lee. He had some good interactions. I think he had an interaction with MVP, if my memory serves me correctly. It's like, I went back and watched this Royal Rumble. I didn't watch it live, but I went back to see it when I saw just how damn good it was and how people were praising it. I mean, the 2020 Royal Rumble is regarded as a top 5 Royal Rumble of all time by a lot of people. And that's thanks in large part to Brock Lesnar.
Oh god, yeah. This like people crap on the first half of the match because the whole match was excellent, I think. But yeah, the second half people say generally was better. Obviously Edge's return, McIntyre winning, amazing Final Four. I get it, but first half of Brock, excellent. He carried the whole first half. Usually the first half of the Rumble is pretty dead. Usually that's where you have like the classic Elias bit, your classic bit with the Jeff Jarrett. You'll have like your random bums from like WWE main event running out there at like 6 and 9 and 11, and you're like, okay, get to the good bits. But Brock was carrying this match from the jump, so yeah, that one's 91. Then 92. Don't know if there's much to really say about this one. I just want to throw it in. 92, the squash of Ricochet, Kevin, just good fun.
Awesome. Yeah, let's all raise a glass and drink to Brock Lesnar squashing Ricochet. Hallelujah. I mean, Brock Lesnar gets brownie points in my book for squashing that bum Ricochet, so yeah, clap it up for him.
Bro, Ricochet is garbage, bro! Anyway, 93, put over Drew McIntyre big time, WrestleMania 36. Really, this match, it was just Brock being completely unselfish. Brock, obviously, he saw something in Drew. I remember there was a story Drew told. I don't know if Drew told it, but just generally, Brock saw something in Drew when he was in 3MB, because Brock destroyed 3MB in 2014 for a Raw segment. Brock was like, Drew, you're better than this. This is a joke. And then, yeah, Drew since got released and came back and won the title. But yeah, Kevin, Brock put him over big time, pal.
Oh, yeah. It was great. And then the 48-year-old Big Show kind of inserted himself and ruined the moment to an extent. But still, it would have been bigger had there been no pandemic. That goes without even question. You had these two guys in Tampa in front of 75,000 people at WrestleMania 36 the way it was planned. Yeah, Drew beat Brock in front of that crowd. It would have been just completely different. Drew McIntyre drew the short end of the stick. He was a trooper. But Drew McIntyre became the face of Raw. And that's thanks to Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar really, he saw, like you said, he saw something in Drew. And he helped make the guy. Brock Lesnar likes to give back to the wrestling business. He's put over, how many guys have we talked about that he's put over already?
So many. You lose track. Honestly. So many.
Yeah, exactly. And Reason 94. His amazing SummerSlam return. We hadn't seen Brock since he lost the WrestleMania main event to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 36. It'd been over a year. We were waiting for it. Maybe it would happen. Maybe it happened at Money in the Bank. Maybe it happened at WrestleMania 37. Who knows? You never know. But then he actually came out at the end of SummerSlam 2021, and it was awesome. He didn't do much. He just made his entrance, did a couple poses, looked at Paul Heyman and looked at Roman Reigns, and then he beat up John Cena after the pay-per-view went off the air. Short, sweet, to the point.
That's what we love, pal. That is what we love to see. Brock Lesnar comes out, Pat McAfee, the alpha male of our species line, and if, what was the exact line about, if the aliens came to Earth and we had to send a human to fight, it would be Brock. That's so good. And then confronting Reigns, it's just so awesome. Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Reason 95, the ponytail look. Just ponytail Brock. It's ridiculous. With the man bun.
Ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a Viking. You don't want to mess with Brock. He looks like he's from a different era of time. He's a different man.
He looks like he's from 900. The year 900, bro, with the Vikings, bro. Ridiculous. He looks like an Anglo-Saxon Viking. It's ridiculous. So, Yeah, that one's awesome. Then 96, his segments get insane views. This one is a reference to the WWE full YouTube channel who ripped the SmackDown segment with Brock and Reigns from the MSG show and got 5.9 million views in the first 14 hours. That's nuts. Like, that's wild.
That is insane. Wow.
Jesus.
Oh my god, yeah. Brock's a YouTube draw.
Brock's a legitimate mainstream YouTube star. YouTube, pal. YouTube. Then we move on. 97. Plenty of dream matches left. Mainly Lashley, as you're going to see later in this Brock Appreciation Week. But, I mean, as well as that, this, heel Reigns face Brock matchup, that's a dream match. People still want to see Brock and Cesaro, Brock and Keith Lee. There's a bunch of others, Kevin. Just plenty of dream matches, pal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Lashley, like you said, is the biggest one. That's the one that everyone has their eyes set on, especially after Bobby Lashley is coming off of a WWE Championship reign where he was the face of Raw for the better part of the summer. And now he lost the belt recently, so maybe Lashley's going to SmackDown. They'll be on the same show. Can we please get Lashley versus Brock? I don't even care at this point if it's on a C- pay-per-view. I don't even care if they do it as a Peacock special. I don't even care if they do it as a Twitter special. And they can broadcast this match exclusively as a pre-tape on Twitter, and I would still watch it. Just give us Brock versus Bobby at this point, please.
Yeah, I don't care what they do and where they do this match. I don't care if they had this match in a shower somewhere. I don't care if they have this match at a gym. I don't care if they have this match literally at a ranch. Just as long as they do it in a wrestling ring, preferably, like Kevin, it needs to happen. So yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, then do it on Brock's farm in Canada and sell tickets, pal.
Surely that'd be objectively ratings, pal. Then 98 lived up to the next big thing nickname and then some. Brock's delivered on the hype. He's similar to LeBron in that sense, where you come in with like this big kind of big name from the jump, and you deliver on the hype and then leave a legacy that just no one could have really foreseen. So just, yeah, huge props to Brock, pal. Anything else in this one?
I mean, yeah, like you said it, he's similar to LeBron in that aspect. Yeah, really all I can say. Absolutely.
Then 99, one-of-a-kind legacy. Brock, I mean, yeah, like, we've been over this now for an hour and 40 minutes, Kevin. It's just, he's done literally pretty much everything. It's just, his legacy speaks for itself. It's truly astounding, pal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, reason 100, he's done it all. Can I give a little bonus reason
Go for it.
Yeah, reason 101. He was in a Madden NFL video game.
Wow.
That's bananas.
Wow.
That speaks to his credibility as a legitimate mainstream star.
Wow.
How many wrestlers can say they were in Madden, pal?
That's too true. And then, yeah, raising 100, capping us off. Kevin, Brock's done it all. There's nothing with Brock that he hasn't achieved. He's a sound person. He lives a happy lifestyle, a happy COVID-safe, isolated lifestyle in some ranch in Saskatchewan with an objective supermodel wife. He's been the UFC heavyweight champion. He's been at the top of professional wrestling for well and truly over a decade now. He makes literally 8 figures per year, minimum. I mean, he's been in the NFL, he's been an amateur wrestling champion, he's been in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because that's an achievement. Kevin, this guy is he is the alpha male of this species, objectively.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got a Playboy bunny wife. I'll ask you this question as we're winding down here. Who has better work rate, Brock Lesnar or Sable Lesnar? Tough question, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's, Kevin, I thought you were going to ask a question like, who has better work rate, Sable or Maurice, or something like that. God. Yeah, well, I think on that note, Kevin, I'll happily leave it on a bit of a work rate question with Sable and Maurice. I think that's been a pretty convincing, objective, 100 reasons, well, by the time you add in all your little ones, probably like 104 reasons why Brock Lesnar is awesome. Kevin, thank you for coming on the channel. It's been a pleasure to have you on for this big video.
Oh, thank you for having me, pal. I love praising Brock Lesnar. He, like we said, he's a legitimate celebrity, pal. He deserves it all.
Yep, so now's the fun bit for me to edit this up, but yeah, this is going to be just one part of Brock Lesnar Appreciation Week. Yeah, you love to see it. Brock deserves the appreciation. This week's got all the appreciations. I'm going to probably drop this first, and then you'll see some other videos to come this week. So yeah, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below if you're still here. If you're still here, thanks for the watch time. I really appreciate it. there. Peace.